Welcome to And I Like Large Parties. Join me as I chat with amazing women business owners in the events industry, some that I've worked with and some that I can't wait to work with. We'll be sipping cocktails while discussing their passions, hurdles, and accomplishments. You're going to love it. Thanks for listening. So today I'm sitting down with Taylor Smallwood. She is the owner of Tailored Events and Rentals. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Before we started recording, we were just chatting about how we were supposed to meet in person. I was supposed to come up and see her in the summer, and I wound up having to reschedule. So we're doing this on Zoom. This is the first podcast interview that I've actually ever done through video conferencing instead of having a face-to-face, but it'll have to do. Are you in the York area? Is that right?
I am. Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right. So I like to start the podcast by having my guests think about a drink. It can be a cocktail, mocktail, something you design on the fly, something that is already a favorite beverage of yours, something that you feel embodies who you are, your business, your brand. I'll revisit that question at the end of the interview, so you have some time to think about that. Today, we're keeping it really simple. And since we're not sitting together in person, we're just having water because, you have to stay hydrated. So nice and easy. Why don't you go ahead and tell everyone how they can contact you if they were looking for you?
In a number of ways. My website is tailoredeventsandrentals.com. We're on socials like Instagram, Facebook at Tailored Events and Rentals. Keep it nice and cohesive with the email address as well. It's tailoredeventsandrentals@gmail.com. And then you can also contact us via phone at 223-378-8352.
Okay, so I want you to just tell me about yourself. I really don't. So our connection, if you can call it that, we were at an expo in Chester County together, and I knew that there was another event rental company, but you were like across the room, and I never had an opportunity to really go over and talk to you in person, but I started following you on Instagram. And so that's kind of how we've stayed connected. And that was, I don't even know, maybe I guess a year ago is probably when that was. So it's been a bit. But yeah, this is really our first time actually really like personally interacting. So I know very little about you, and I can't wait for you to tell me. So tell me.
Well, I've been in the industry it's been 15 years as of this year. Obviously started part-time, and I've been in a number of roles before owning Tailored Events and Rentals. So straight out of school, I managed a wedding venue in the area. I worked for a caterer. In the meantime, I started with rentals. I had a few pieces and was doing events here and there. And then obviously just started to curate a bigger inventory and just kept collecting and paying attention to, what was popular as far as rentals at the time. And I moved into like the smaller details, so more like tabletop decor as well as the furniture. And I just kept doing that. With my experience in managing and coordinating events and the other two roles that I had worked in the industry, I started to coordinate for myself as well. I had seen some planners in the industry. I had seen some coordinators in the industry, and I really kept an eye on what was going on in that realm of things. And there were some things that I would want to help couples with that they were already doing, but I knew that there was more that I wanted to do. So I started offering that as a service on the side again as well. Kind of steamrolled into helping couples with more of the back end, more of the planning aspects, not just the last month or so before the wedding and then the wedding day. Yeah. And again, it just kept kind of building and building until I went full time with Tailored Events about a year ago. And we started coordinating more weddings, building a team to help coordinate those weddings, we started offering floral design as well so that we can pair the florals with the decor that we're offering to couples, and making the planning process there, the coordinating process there a lot more streamlined. So now we have a team, and we are going to keep going, keep growing. I think it was 2022 that I started with one event space as well, because I obviously had seen the wedding industry side, but I also saw a need for a venue in the area that wasn't a wedding venue for those occasions that are smaller, more intimate, but that also wasn't a fire hall. So I wanted to make kind of a more upscale, but still cozy, intimate venue space. So I opened one of those here in New York. That's Loft 441 at Wireworks. And then as I saw the need for couples to have an option for intimate weddings and intimate venues for weddings that again aren't the big full-blown venue with all the bells and whistles, I added a second space here so that couples can do just that without being confined to one space.
So where you have your event space or spaces, I should say, do you also have warehouse space where you're storing all of your rentals? So it's all of that.
Almost all of it. I do have a secondary space where we kind of keep the items that they kind of go out like once a year, that sort of thing. They're kind of seasonal, but most of the items that are pretty popular throughout the year are here on site, so that it's just nice and centralized for us, but also so that clients who use our venue spaces can also use those items.
Yeah, makes sense. So you mentioned your team. How many people do you have working for you?
We have 4 coordinators now. So they're all part-time. I am looking to, we're not looking to, we are officially bringing on one of the coordinators full-time in the beginning of this year, so she can start to help with more of the planning aspects, the back end kind of things behind the scenes before the event days.
Gotcha. So for someone who, I mean, like myself, I do everything. My husband helps me quite a bit, but I am the business, and I know that I need to bring on help, and I know I need to hire someone. But the idea of that, it's terrifying for a variety of reasons. Am I going to mesh well with this person? Are they going to bring the same standard to the job that, I know, what I'm talking about, that you yourself, because it's your business, bring to all of your jobs. How would you advise people like me who are interested in hiring someone? Like, what are those steps, or like, what are some things that they should keep in mind?
I mean, I think starting slow with that, baby steps, because I wouldn't have just automatically brought someone on full time to kind of take things over for me. I would have wanted to, not only vet their interest and their abilities, but I am very clear about how much I care. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing it. I mean, everybody needs money to live, but that's not the goal here. The goal is really to make an impact with these couples and our clients. And I want to make sure that whoever it is, as they're assisting me on events, like I've really paid attention this year on how much they care. In addition, how much they want to go over and above. So listening to those kinds of things and picking up on that sort of thing, not only, are they qualified, but do they have the same values that you do?
Yeah.
Which I think I know that our team at this point does. So I feel really confident about that. And I think something else to keep in mind is really just, you're not doing anyone a justice. Like, you're not helping the couples if you are, so busy with certain tasks that other tasks get overlooked. So
that's a good point.
I think you're only one person, and you have to know your limits and know at what point does it make more sense to have somebody who can help me, so that I can, so that I have more time to make sure that I am going over and above for the couples and not just doing the baseline. So kind of knowing what that limit is and when it makes sense.
Did you start with like hiring family and friends? That seems to be just kind of like a common tale that I hear with folks that bring on help. Or did you just like dive right into looking for qualified candidates that you really hadn't met before?
I definitely started with friends and family.
Okay. That seems safe. It seems like the safe thing to do.
Yeah, it was, just occasionally here and there. My dad even would offer to help at certain points. So
Nice.
it kind of, that's how it naturally happened initially. And then as far as the, employees that I have now, I, again, wasn't really even actively seeking them out. I just continued to convey my values, my messages on social media, and two of them I found because they saw my social media posts and saw the events that I was involved in and the things that I cared about. And another one of them I met at like kind of like a vendor expo. She had been working with another company part-time in the industry, and again kind of saw what I was doing and became more interested from there. And then the last employee actually came to the venue spaces with a friend to tour my venue spaces, and again heard all of the things that I could do to help her friend, and help anyone else who uses the venue spaces here for their events, and became hooked from there, and it evolved into further conversation and growth from there.
Gotcha. So with your venues and then your rental business and also the event planning aspect of things and the florals, you have a lot of moving parts, which to your point really kind of creates this one-stop shop in a lot of ways for your couples. What are you doing or using, I should say, what are you using to kind of manage the communications and the bookings? Is there a software that you're using?
Truthfully, no. I don't want to say old school because it's not pen and paper, but
Yeah.
I'm using a lot of like Google Drive tools.
Yeah.
I don't have like a fancy software program or anything like that at this point. I can't say that I would never move there, but
Yeah.
I don't know, I've always been a little bit more old school than the current, I should say,
Yeah.
which,
Yeah.
occasionally I think honestly that might put off a client or two here and there if they really truly care about having like the top of the line software program to work with. But then I just don't think they're for me at the moment. And I would rather work with couples who are comfortable with my process and
Yeah.
trust the process.
I ask that question frequently, and I was doing a lot of Google for a while, and then about maybe a year and a half ago, I switched to 17 Hats. So I sometimes find folks who use that. HoneyBook seems to be so popular. Everyone is using HoneyBook. There was another program that someone recently mentioned that I hadn't heard of, but it seems that there are quite a lot of us because I was hanging on for a long time that really just kind of stuck to our Google Docs and our Drive and our, spreadsheets. So I really don't think that things have shifted or moved entirely to,
Hmm.
all the fancy software that's out there. There are still some people that whatever is tried and true and works for them, they still use that. So I always like to kind of
Hmm.
ask that question.
I might just need to take more time to like really truly
Yeah,
understand what those programs can do,
right.
because I think my perspective on them is that it will almost move me away from personalizing things as much as I do now, which is really
Yeah.
important to me, but maybe I'm wrong. So
Yeah, no, I think that that's actually a pretty valid, that's a pretty valid concern and a valid point. And if you do ever start looking into it, that's definitely
mhm.
something at the forefront of things to think about. How does this impact that one-on-one, that personal experience that your clients, I'm sure, really appreciate when they're dealing with you? So tell me about your venues. So what kinds of events are you hosting there?
I would say primarily showers at this point. So baby showers, bridal showers, but they're, like I said, upscale but cozy at the same time, pretty neutrally decorated. So we do micro weddings here, could also have a birthday party, could also have like a corporate
Yeah,
meeting. We've had negotiations here, social media classes,
interesting.
different like creative workshops. There's so many
A lot of
occasions
potential.
that
Hmm.
yeah that it can work for.
Between running the venue and then, your event rental aspect of your job, which do you prefer?
Definitely. Oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely enjoy the wedding side of things a little bit more, but these are such cozy spaces, and I do love to see what people do with them. And I just like the close-knit kind of community-ness about it as well. It's not as I don't want to say as like serious as a full-blown wedding, but oftentimes in here, it is. I mean, this coming weekend we have a family Christmas bingo event. So it's just like I
That's
love
cool.
the idea of how wholesome it can be in here.
Hmm.
The community aspect of things is important. And again, just providing an opportunity for people to get together that maybe don't always get together. And again, like giving them the opportunity to do so in a space that is affordable and not asking them to pay wedding venue price for a baby shower.
So you've been in the industry for quite a long time and you've seen the trends come and go and then come back again, I'm sure. How do you keep up with the trends? What do you do to try to stay current and try to stay fresh and keep your finger on the pulse?
Social media is a big help. As much as I don't love to use TikTok, I do kind of tap in every once in a while to see what's going on. I'm on Instagram frequently. I also just ask my clients as well on social media. So if I'm trying to grow the inventory a little bit, if I've trimmed down and now I'm trying to replace some items, I will ask, what do you think of this item? And I'll put a visual there so they can let me know if they feel like that's a good item to add. And also like I said, I customize everything. So if couples are coming to me and they, have an inspiration board or a mood board, and then several couples are kind of sending me very similar inspiration photos, I kind of know that there's some sort of trend that's on the up or is current. And I grow my inventory that way too. So if there's an item that I don't have necessarily that I can get access to accommodate their vision, I'm going to do that, especially if it's something I'm seeing that is recurring.
Yeah. Talk to me about some challenges that you've encountered over the years as a business owner in this space.
I think certainly leasing a space rather than owning presents challenges. We have tenants that are in the vicinity, so we have to kind of work with those relationships. Obviously, there's maintenance things that happen here and there that we have to navigate and figure out. That can be, I think, more challenging since we don't have full ownership of decisions that are made and progress made. So I would say on the venue side, that's definitely a challenge. I think obviously the fact right now, in our current state, I think there's a lot of couples who are drawing their budget back, but also our costs are increasing. So that makes things tough. So kind of figuring out the best way to accommodate as many couples as you can, and making sure you're working within their budget, but also, not putting yourself at risk at the same time, or putting other vendors at risk too, since we're helping to communicate with other vendors who are providing items and services too. I think those are two big ones at the moment.
A couple of times you've brought up how a particular client might not be the best fit for you. You might not be the best fit for them. And I see that as well. I know when I first started out, you're taking any job because, you need the business and you need the exposure. And then once you get your footing and you get more established and you're getting referrals, you feel that that freedom to actually say, well, like, no, I can't do that. Or you're getting the vibe that maybe this is not the right fit. So you're going to say no. What's been your experience with that? And what advice can you give to someone to get there, to get to that point where they can say no?
I don't know. I feel like you get sometimes there's like really concrete evidence that it's not for you. And sometimes you just kind of like get a feeling in your chest a little bit. You're like, this just doesn't feel right. Something is off. So I think it should feel right. And I don't think you should like have like state of anxiety when you're thinking about their events.
Yeah.
I know in here in the venue spaces, it's a little bit more concrete because if they're, mentioning things that are just like against your policies or, against the building's policies, obviously that's an easy no. And if they can't, if they can't overcome that, they can't work around those policies. That's an easy one, easier than on the other side of the business with the wedding side of things, because especially with coordination, we want to do as much as we can. I always say that my duties don't necessarily fit inside a box, but there are limits to that, and there are limits that can take away from your main goals as a coordinator. So while I would love to do certain tasks for you, if we have the extra time, I don't want it to take away from the main goals of the day.
Do you have anyone managing your social media or like doing your social media marketing for you the way that I see a lot of other businesses do it? Or is that something that you just keep control of?
As of right now, I'm in control of both accounts, but when I bring on one of the coordinators full time this coming year, she's definitely going to start taking some of that over for me.
Yeah.
Especially on the venue side of the social media, which I have truthfully not neglected, but I definitely haven't paid as much time and attention as it needs. So she'll definitely take charge on that and help me with content creation for the tailored event side of social media as well.
Nice. So what are some business tips that you would give to someone who wanted to get into the event rental space specifically?
I don't know if I'm allowed to ask a follow-up question. Do you have like specific categories of
How about
tips?
furniture? Let's start with furniture, the big pieces.
I think there's kind of like a calculation that I use as far as adding inventory to my collection, and that is I try to get my return on investment in the particular piece by somewhere between 2 and 3 rentals of it. So that's a little tiny piece. Again, I think there's probably other calculations out there that might make more sense for someone else, but
Yeah,
that's
solid. I
something that I
agree.
use. And obviously there are a couple pieces here and there that fall on the upper end of that, slightly outside of that calculation, or on the lower end, slightly outside, but it's a general rule of thumb that we have. Obviously, storage is a big kind of not issue, but it's a thing that you have to pay attention to. So, kind of estimating how many times you feel like you're going to use that piece versus your cost of storage, and see where that pans out. Also, don't forget all the other things that go into all of this. Are the clients going to come pick the items up from you and return them? What would happen if somebody damaged your item and you can't fix it or you can't replace it? Especially, with a company like yours, we have like a mix of the like kind of vintage pieces versus more modern pieces. But I feel like
Sometimes
you
when
have a lot
something's
more
broken,
kind of,
it's broken and that's it.
that's it.
Yeah.
The insurance, the fuel, the like all of the things that go into it, all the time that it takes for you start to finish to have these rentals and to offer them. So kind of having a complete picture of what that process looks like, not a partial picture.
Okay. So you deliver, right? Because I see you at lots of different venues for weddings. Do you also allow folks to pick up items?
If there's obviously we have agreements in place, so there's terms on the agreement that says you have to transport it in a certain way, especially if there's poor weather. But it really depends on the piece. My dresser right now, it's a heavy piece, really top heavy, thin legs. It's one of the most expensive pieces I've purchased for the business. And that is not something that I would allow anyone to pick up from me and transport on their own. Versus, if they're coming to pick up a box of vases or a wing back chair, that's a whole different story. So but I would say 95% of our rental orders we deliver and set up, because that's all a piece of it is when I deliver rentals to an event, I'm not dropping things in a box and departing and coming back.
You're setting it up.
I'm staging it the way that we've discussed and the way that you've envisioned. So
1 or 2 things that are not part of your rental inventory and they never will be, and why?
Linens, like bulk linens. I have some kind of like specialty. I have table runners.
Yeah.
I have a few options for napkins. I have like a specialty tablecloth or two for a sweetheart table. But as far as bulk linens for guest tables and that kind of thing, I will not, that's not for me.
Okay.
That is a whole different ball game. And I know why linen rentals are so expensive.
Yeah.
And it's not something that I can accommodate or is of
Fair.
interest to me. So I will be
Mhm.
happy to recommend other routes for couples
Yeah,
for
totally
things.
fair.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I almost feel the same way about China glassware kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
I do have gold silverware because I saw that as a need because most caterers do not offer that option, but I really want to like have a lot of like passion behind the items that I have
Yeah.
in the inventory. I want to love them. I don't want to just have items because couples rent them frequently. Like I want to have positive association with them. And I don't know that I would feel that way about white china plates.
Yeah.
I want to be the decorative
Uh-huh.
additive. I don't
Uh-huh.
want to be like the base level of the rentals that you need.
Makes sense. I'm kind of going through a transition period right now where some of the things that you've mentioned, I'm purging right now at this point because I don't want to be in that niche of the event space.
Mhm.
And I'm coming to terms with, and it's freeing. I don't need to have everything for everyone. I really need to try to like get, and I think some of this stemmed from when you're just starting out, you want the business. And I'm just now getting myself out of that. I don't
Mhm.
need to be everything for everyone.
It's like
Yeah,
it's kind of like a never-ending process as
I
you
think you're right.
I hope if you want to evolve in any way, you're gonna rethink about that often.
Often, yeah, for sure. So what's next for you? Tell me about what's next.
I mean, a couple things that are next. We, as an kind of exciting type of thing, we worked out a situation with one of our favorite venues in the area where we will, for a calendar year, be the primary or like preferred coordinator,
That's awesome.
which is exciting. And then as long as all goes well, which it undoubtedly will, she'll shift to make us the exclusive coordination company there
That's great.
so that couples have to use us if they're
Yeah.
going to have a coordinator. So we have that going on,
Hmm.
which is exciting. Again, evaluating what rentals we want to keep, what we want
Hmm.
to phase out so that we can refresh.
Yeah.
Um,
You're
along,
extending your team, you're hiring. So, I mean,
yeah,
that's great
yeah.
too. Yeah.
And somewhat long term, hopefully not too long term, would be to own a venue, own the property instead of leasing. So we're certainly working towards that.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so I'm going to have you revisit the question from the beginning. What would that drink be that you feel embodies you and your brand?
Honestly, a good watermelon Celsius. I am fueled by Celsius most days. It
Okay.
helps me, keeps me on par for the day. And
Okay. All right. Remind everybody where they can contact you if they're interested in renting the event space or renting anything from you, or hiring you for, event planning and coordination.
yeah, the main place will be our website, so tailoredeventsandrentals.com.
Mhm.
You can find us on Instagram, Tailored Events and Rentals.
Okay.
Facebook is the same as well.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, I really appreciate you talking to me today. I'm
Yeah,
glad
thank
that,
you for
yeah,
having me.
it
Appreciate
was
it.
cool. I'm glad that we got the chance to actually connect. And I hope that, down the line, I know you're in York and I'm in Delaware, so we're a distance, but I hope our paths
Mhm.
cross and we can, collaborate on something. That would be cool.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I mean, truthfully, I don't do that many events in New York.
Oh yeah?
Besides our venue spaces,
Okay.
there's a couple of venues. There's probably 10 or so venues in the York area. We have one that we provide rentals for pretty frequently, but other than that, most of our full day weddings that we're coordinating or decorating are really towards Lancaster, Chester County out there.
Gotcha.
So
All right.
we
Well,
can collaborate someday.
yeah, for sure. Sounds good. All right. Well, I like to end with a toast. I have water. Do you have anything? You got a Celsius? All right.
I've
Well,
got water.
let's cheers to a successful 2026. You've got
Cheers.
cheers. You've got some great things on the horizon. I'm excited for you. And yeah,
Thank you
I'm,
so
I'm
much.
looking forward to, that collaboration.
Sounds good.